All righty, welcome back to another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today does not suck. Brandon is not here with us. Of course, he can't say that. Need a little rest. He's feeling tired now. So today does not suck. Oklahoma lands 2024 four-star defensive lineman Nigel Smith out of Melissa, Texas, a highly rated recruit, friend of the program, as Brandon likes to say. He's been on the show once. Seemed like whenever we talked to him, it's been a while. It seemed like Oklahoma was in a good spot, and it seemed like throughout his entire recruitment, Oklahoma was in the top three or at the top, and they've been at the top for a long time. So we're going to be talking about him. But before we do, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're north of 5,900 subscribers. We're on the path, the road to 6,000. We're almost there. Hit the subscribe button, and we go live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central to talk Oklahoma football, Oklahoma recruiting, and just general college football. So be sure to hang out and turn that notification bell on so you know when we go live. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's shown in the description below. So let's just talk about Nigel Smith. I mean, we talked about him a lot, but I mean, another big get for the defensive line, Todd Bates and Chavis.
Yeah, I mean, that Powerline graphic is almost full. You're just waiting on, you missed out on Xena. What is it now? 2 days ago. Which not a big surprise. His brother's there, closer to home. Makes total sense. I don't really think that's caught anyone off guard. But now you secure probably the guy you've been recruiting the longest, not named David Stone. And like you said, Oklahoma, since for a year and a half now, seems to have been the number one team for Nigel Smith, if not, right there and right behind number one. And we haven't talked about him a lot recently because even after, like, typically you kind of start hearing more buzz. Things are either in better favor for Oklahoma or someone's catching up to Oklahoma during the summer when the official visits are happening. But he took, after every official visit, you never really heard anything. Nothing was a big seismic shift for anyone. Ohio State seemed to be a player in this one for a while, which made sense. We talk about it every time we talk about facing Ohio State and defensive lineman recruiting. You got to understand why those kids would want to go there. Larry Johnson has put plenty in the NFL. But Oklahoma went out on this one. Nigel Smith is going to be a guy that you're probably going to see play pretty early in his career at Oklahoma. He is very much ready to play. He might need to put on a little bit of weight, but as long as he early enrolls, Schmidt can have enough time with him where come fall of his freshman year, he might be in the rotation a little bit, especially at the position he's being recruited at. He's pretty versatile. He's played all over the line, but I believe he is trending towards being a defensive tackle, Jalen Redmond kind of guy, where he's not maybe the biggest guy, but he serves as your pass rusher in the interior of the line.
And having that flexibility and being able to do that and pair him up with David Stone is obviously ideal with that. And then you add Wyatt Gilmore. And, if you guys were watching our podcast or our live stream earlier on Tuesday, and if you haven't already, be sure to go check that out. Danny Okoye joined the show as well. And it seemed like Oklahoma was in a good spot for him. So with Nigel Smith's addition, it puts Oklahoma as the number 8 recruiting class in the country. Losing out on McKinley and Williams-Nwaneri puts a damper on the top 3 bet that we had with Jose. But being at 8 is still solid. Oklahoma has every opportunity, if they win out on 3 or 4 more recruitments with Okoye and Bricks and a few others. If they do that, they're going to be right on that cusp for top 5. Assuming these 3 or 4 recruitments go their way, Michael Boganowski. But adding Nigel Smith in a lot of classes, Nigel Smith, within the last 10 years, would have been the crown jewel along the defensive line recruitment hall. He really would have. And not taking anything away from him. I mean, David Stone is just that guy, and the thought that Williams Nwaneri was supposed to be here. Is we really thought that's where he was going to be, and then you have Nigel Smith, and it's like, great. I mean, it's Nigel Smith and all that, but we got David Stone, and then the thought of adding Danny Okoye in this defensive line, even losing out on those two other 5-stars, is looking like the best haul that Oklahoma's had in the last 10, 15 years in the recruitment as far as ratings go. Whether that translates, that's a whole nother story. I think it will, but on paper, this recruiting class is looking really good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it might not be where fans want it to be when you look at the overall rankings by the time it's all said and done. Should still be a top 10 class. Like you mentioned, assuming you went out on all, if not most, of these last few recruitments that are still going on. Things are trending in the right direction. The finishing position of rankings doesn't matter to me as much because they're identifying the needs of the team. Like they're going out and they put a full court press on making sure they get a bigger group of defensive linemen in this class. I mean, last year you ended up getting Marcus Strong, Derek LeBlanc, who's now gone. He was part of the recruiting class, and then PJ Adebawore, the 5-star, which people seem to forget about all the time. So talking about how Oklahoma can't land 5-star defensive linemen. PJ's right there already on campus. But I digress. Only landing 3 and then ending up with 2 come fall. Not great. So they identified it. They knew it was going to be a situation that needed to be recruited harder this cycle. For 2 years now, they've been going after these 2024 guys. And they might have not landed everyone they wanted on the initial commitment, but they still have till National Signing Day. Just like people can come in and try to poach David Stone. I mean, if you think Miami's giving up on trying to get David Stone away from Oklahoma, you're kidding yourself. They're going to try their best. I don't think it works at the end of the day because he made it very clear that where he committed is where he was staying, but things change all the time, right? Assuming things, on the flip side, Oklahoma can flip a couple of defensive linemen come signing day. At this moment, you have Wyatt Gilmore, Nigel Smith, David Stone, Jaden Jackson. Am I missing someone?
No, I think that is it off the top of my head.
And then, but you still have the possibility, and it seems like, as we're recording this and as you guys are watching, Danny Okoye could land in that recruiting class as well. So you're adding 5 freshmen to that defensive line class come next fall. You got a good foundation moving forward where as long as you show progress with these transfers that came in this season, the freshmen that are there this season, you're going to keep recruiting a group of, 3 guys, 4 guys for that group consistently. Maybe ends or defensive linemen. Who knows? Again, come National Signing Day, if what we all hope happens with Missouri, Williams Nwaneri might entertain that idea. I mean, it seems like it's once a week when Lee Summit plays that people are talking about, look at those gloves he's wearing. And I think I take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt, but at some point it starts building enough where you're like, all right, well, there's got to be at least something there. And again, come December, it could go in Oklahoma's favor, where you do end up getting 2 of those 5-star defensive linemen, and my beard becomes extinct.
Yeah, it would, and that would be the ideal scenario. But yeah, hopefully Texas A&M and Missouri both struggle this year. We expect at least Missouri to do so. I mean, Texas A&M has shown, historically they do that as well. So we'll see. But I mean, adding Nigel Smith, we've talked about him a lot. He's extremely talented. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the country. There's a reason why he's as highly rated as he is and why so many schools coveted him. And Oklahoma went head-to-head with Ohio State and Texas A&M and others for his services, and they locked it down. Melissa, Texas is basically like Oklahoma South, basically into Texas, in that DFW North Texas region. So Oklahoma's really putting an emphasis there. And I think the fact that Oklahoma is putting together this defensive line class, they're showing improvements. As we're recording this video, Oklahoma's defense looked great week 1. Showing that growth and getting Okoye on board. sky's the limit for this defensive line class, and I really think we're going to look back on this recruiting class and with Nigel Smith and everyone and be like, this is what has, like you said, foundational piece, foundational group to really take us into the SEC and take us to the next level. So, I mean, it does not suck, as Brandon says. I mean, this is a big time get.
It is. And we'll see what happens for the rest of this year. But as long as Oklahoma performs on the field, I think you've got a lot of good things that'll happen on the recruiting front between now and December.
For sure, it doesn't hurt you if you continue to win and your competition loses. So that's all I've got. Unless you have anything else, I can turn over the individual challenge to you. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah, I think it's usually Smith thoughts, how Brandon puts it. Yeah, just tell us what you think about Nigel Smith, how excited you are about having him. Make sure to get down to the comment section.
For sure. So be sure to do that. And also like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below. And remember, we go live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central to talk Oklahoma football, recruiting, and general college football. So we'll see you guys on Tuesday.